Hello, and thanks again for watching our show. I'm Harry Greenberger. I'm the president of the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association and the host for this program. Our guest today is the minister of the First Unitarian Universalist Church here in New Orleans, Melanie Morell Ensminger, and I welcome you to our program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And those of you who know that secular humanists are non-religious people, some of you wonder, why are we so friendly with churches and religious people? Let me say this: it has never been our intention to take anyone's faith away from them, although we do have some serious disagreements with some self-appointed church leaders and in some church organizations. But when it comes to the Unitarian Universalist Church, my explanation of our connection with them is that I consider you folks to be our kissing cousins.
Very definitely. We're kindred spirits.
We certainly are, and so it's important to us to maintain dialogue and support for each other, and I can say that we do. Your church and our organization have some of the same membership.
That's true.
So, Melanie, not having had the opportunity to talk to you before, I'd like you to tell us something about maybe your background that brought you to finally serving here in New Orleans, and then we'll talk about your other activities.
Well, I'm a native New Orleanian. I'm a fifth-generation New Orleanian on my father's side, according to research that my first cousin has done. So this is my home, and it is the place that I've always been from. And while my ministry took me away from the city for close to 15 years, in the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, I had no greater ambition than to come home to New Orleans and to serve First Church if I could. And so while I was raised Roman Catholic, it was kind of nominal. My parents were civil rights and organized labor activists. And I think they felt that raising their 4 children as Roman Catholic was kind of protective coloration, and that might help us fit in. But when your parents are civil rights and union activists in New Orleans in the early 50s, being Roman Catholic doesn't help you all that much. What I tell people today who talk to me about religion, I say, never try to give your children a religion that is not yours. My parents tried to raise us as Roman Catholics, but neither of them practiced it for different reasons, but neither one of them was an active Catholic. And now today, none of my adult siblings is Catholic. You can only give your children the religion that is the real religion of your household, whatever that is.
You are unique in that respect because for the most part, and especially my experience here in New Orleans, is that Catholic parents raise their children very strictly to become Catholics, and most of them do, and very few of them are able then, after having had that early indoctrination, to change their position.
Well, I think even as a young person, I experienced a great deal of doubt. Knowing that my father never attended any church except for weddings and funerals, to be told in religious classes as an elementary school child that people who were not active, devout Catholics were going to hell, I couldn't imagine that my father, who was doing such great work for justice that put him in actual physical risk, I could not imagine that such a good man doing such good work would not be allowed in heaven. So I think even as a child, I was a small universalist. I believed instinctively early on that whatever happened after death happened to everyone, and that there certainly couldn't be a God mean enough to put my dad in hell.
I see. Well, it's surprising to me that did not turn you into an agnostic or an atheist. How did you then move from that into the Unitarian movement?
Well, Harry, I think it would be correct to say that I am an atheist to the extent that I don't believe in a prevailing idea of God. It's good to remember that atheism has always been culturally determined, and that the epithet that the Romans threw at the early Christians were that they were atheists.
Because they didn't believe
in the
gods.
Roman gods.
That's right.
And so I don't believe in the prevailing cultural concept of God that seems extremely current in America today. So I am an atheist to that extent. And
but you found some sort of some justification and comfort in the Unitarian.
But religion is very important to me. I believe that there is something greater than just my life. Whether you could call that justice with a capital J, or love with a capital L, or compassion with a capital C, however one wishes to characterize that, I believe that there is something worth dedicating my life to that is bigger than me and my life and my comfort and my excellence, even. So that those concepts are divine, if you will.
Well, let me say, there are people who would say that we secular humanists have no spirituality. Yes, we can have a spiritual experience. We can be in awe of a beautiful painting, and that's a spiritual experience.
Indeed.
So with that having progressed, evolved to that state of mind, something still brought you further into the ministry. What did that?
Well, I totally agree with you. I think it's impossible to be human without being also spiritual. And many great philosophers over the centuries have made the same point. I think my upbringing in a household at a time of ferment for both the organized labor movement and the civil rights movement showed me both parents dedicated to a cause greater than themselves, a cause or causes, if you will, that put them in some physical danger, that put our family in some physical danger, and yet they did not hold their personal security and the safety and security of their family to be the biggest thing. So I think I was raised in a very religious way, even though I was not raised as the strictest of Catholics, although I went to Catholic elementary school. So I was prepared for what might be called a religious life, even though I think my father would not have used those words himself. But whenever that is what one does, that there is a dedication to a cause, to an ideal much larger than yourself, that you are willing to sacrifice for, to put yourself in jeopardy for.
Would your father have perhaps called it a mission?
Well, it's so funny. When I finally broke the news to my father that I was entering seminary to become a Unitarian minister, my father was silent, and I could almost hear the wheels turning in his head. And he turned to me and he said, "Well, if I was ever going to be a religion, I would be Unitarian."
Yes.
And he knew activist Catholic priests that he thought the world of. He knew Unitarian ministers in the work in New Orleans that he was involved in. He knew Jewish rabbis that in the work that was being done. But in his heart, if he felt the need to go to something once a week and be in community with people other than labor union people, he would have been a Unitarian. And so I think in a lot of ways I was raised Unitarian, but my parents didn't know they were doing that.
Well, I will have to say that until I got involved with secular humanism, and I have not been a church-going person, I didn't know what the Unitarians, who you were. When I did learn that, and I have on occasion given the Sunday morning talk at your church and at the other
community church,
and when I was asked if I'd like to do it the first time, I said, so long as you don't call it a sermon.